Tonight on The Buzz, we are taking an early look at the new products at the annual IBC trade show. We start with technologist Philip Hodgetts, the CEO of Lumberjack System. Philip shares his expectations for announcements and trends coming out of next week's IBC. Then we talk with Stefan Karle, CEO of DOP Choice, about new lighting technology they are introducing at IBC. Next, Mike Palmer, the Chief Technology Officer at Masstech, talks about how they can help us manage all our digital assets, then find what we need when we need it. Next, Piet, the product manager for Cine lenses at Schneider, talks about their new tilt lenses that allow us to change the focal plane diagonally. All this plus James DeRuvo with our weekly doddleNEWS update. The buzz starts now.
Since the dawn of digital filmmaking,
authoritative,
one show serves a worldwide network of media professionals.
current,
uniting industry experts,
production,
filmmakers,
post-production,
and content creators around the planet.
distribution.
From the media capital of the world in Los Angeles, California, the Digital Production Buzz goes live now.
Welcome to the Digital Production Buzz, the world's longest-running podcast for the creative content industry, covering media production, post-production, and marketing around the world. Hi, my name is Larry Jordan. The annual massively large IBC trade show starts 1 week from today in Amsterdam. With thousands of exhibitors and tens of thousands of new products, this is a key venue to introduce new hardware and software for filmmakers. With so many new products, we decided to get a jump on the news and start looking at IBC a week early. So tonight, we'll highlight trends to watch and some new products to consider. We'll continue our IBC coverage for the next 4 weeks in both our news and interview segments. It is an exciting time. Before we start, though, I want to invite you to subscribe to our free weekly show newsletter at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Every issue, every week, provides quick links to the different segments on the show, plus articles of interest to filmmakers. Best of all, it's free, and it comes out every Saturday morning. And now it's time for our weekly doddleNEWS update with James DeRuvo. Hello, James.
Can you believe it's September already?
I know, August just started a week ago.
I mean, before you know it, IBC is going to be in full swing.
Yeah, but that I can't wait to see. So what's our news before IBC dominates all the coverage later this week?
Canon has unveiled the long-awaited EOS R full-frame mirrorless camera. And it's kind of a Franken-cam. There's really not a lot of innovation here. It just seems like the features were gleaned from the 5D Mark IV, the 6D Mark II, and the M5 mirrorless camera. It's got a 30 megapixel sensor with a Digit 8 processor, 10-bit color, and a new, I think it's 54 millimeter RF lens mount. And while Canon is adding C-Log for free, 4K video is only available in crop mode.
So where's Canon positioning this camera?
Well, it's designed to fit somewhere in between Nikon's Z6 and the Canon 5D Mark IV. And they're planning on coming out with a professional-grade model sometime next year. But I think it's hard to consider that filmmakers will be excited about this, considering it's going to have a 1.8 times crop if you want to shoot in 4K. So if you were hoping this is going to be the ultimate vlogging camera, forget it. And it's almost as if Canon was feeling guilty about it, so they decided to toss in C-Log in the hopes that we wouldn't really notice.
True, but EOS has never been the high end of their line. The Mark IV is.
Well, yeah, that's true, but full frame. It's like, why are you coming out with a full frame mirrorless camera if you're not going to shoot 4K in full frame? It seems like, what's the point of this camera then?
Okay, that's Canon. What else we got?
Panasonic is joining the full-frame mirrorless camera fad. They are going to be showcasing a new prototype at Photokina. The word is that the video quality is superb, and it will sport probably a Leica lens mount similar to the SL line. But that's pretty much all we know about it so far.
Well, this isn't Panasonic's first mirrorless camera. When did they start?
About 10 years ago. It's hard to believe. Panasonic introduced the first mirrorless camera in the G1 a decade ago. Now they're moving into full frame, and although we don't know much in the way of specs yet, the Micro Four Thirds GH line has gotten steadily better over time and has been one of the go-to cameras for independent filmmakers and those who are renting cameras to shoot their projects. So I expect big things from this full-frame model, and I'm betting it steals the thunder from Canon in a major way.
Well, let's see. You've covered Canon and Panasonic, two camera manufacturers. Do you have any software news?
I do. Maxon has released Cinema 4D Release 20. This is a new node-based system which offers 150 shaders, a new streamlined workflow, and motion graphics fields. And there's also seamless CAD file importing and pro rendering support.
So what's your thoughts on the release?
Well, I really don't know a lot about Cinema 4D from a practical use aspect, but anytime a company takes a mature piece of software and streamlines it to make it easier to use, it can only be a good thing considering how tight visual effects budgets can be.
Very true. James, what other stories are you following this week?
Other stories we're following, GoPro is set to announce the Hero 7 in 3 models. I review the Rode SC6L mobile interview kit, and let me tell you, Larry, it's going to be a great addition to my quiver for interviewing at next year's NAB.
Cool.
And Apple will have a new iPhone event next week. That's what we're working on. What are you working on tonight?
Tonight, we're getting a head start on IBC with conversations on trends to expect, along with new products that are launching later this week at the show.
I'm really looking forward to all that news later this week.
Yeah, may not be looking forward to writing it, but I'm looking forward to reading it. And for people that want to learn more, both what's happening now and at IBC, where can I go on the web?
All these stories and more can be found at doddleNEWS.com.
And James DeRuvo is the editor-in-chief of DoddleNEWS and joins us every Thursday. I'll see you next week.
See you in a week.
Here's another website I want to introduce you to, doddleNEWS.com. DoddleNEWS gives you a portal into the broadcast, video, and film industries. It's a leading online resource presenting news, reviews, and products for the film and video industry. DoddleNEWS also offers a resource guide and crew management platform specifically designed for production. These digital call sheets, along with their app, directory, and premium listings, provide in-depth organizational tools for busy production professionals. DoddleNEWS is a part of the Thiele Arts community, a worldwide community of artists, filmmakers, and storytellers. From photography to filmmaking, performing arts to fine arts, and everything in between, Thiele is filled with resources you need to succeed. Whether you want the latest industry news, need to network with other creative professionals, or require state-of-the-art online tools to manage your next project, there's only one place to go, doddleNEWS.com. Philip Hodgetts is recognized as a leading technologist as well as the CEO of Lumberjack System. Even better, he's a regular here on The Buzz where he specializes in explaining new technology. Hello, Philip. Welcome back.
Hello, Larry. Thanks for having me.
It's always fun chatting with you because every time I do, I learn something, which brings me to tonight's show. The annual IBC show starts next Thursday, a week from today, in Amsterdam. What are you expecting?
I love IBC because it's the kind of gentler NAB in a much nicer city. So that's one of the reasons why I always enjoy going there. But I think that the overarching theme this year is really going to be artificial intelligence and its many applications, particularly in asset management and in distribution.
Well, I want to talk about AI and asset management in just a couple of questions. But first, it's interesting seeing how new technology goes in waves. First, the hype combined with unrealistic expectations, then depression as reality does not match the hype, then stabilization as people find ways to put the new technology to use. Just recently, we've seen this both in drones and VR. Mm-hmm. What technology are you expecting to be hyped this fall?
I think artificial intelligence is still going to be the hype. Without a doubt, it's the thing that people seem to have exactly what you just said, the most unrealistic expectations for. We've talked in the past about whether artificial intelligence is ever going to replace an editor. And I think I've come to the realization we've been asking the wrong question or been looking at it the wrong way. I think, like the internet, it isn't going to make one big, huge change to our lives or our work lives, but it's going to make a lot of successive small changes, little ways that our life becomes easier because of the assistance of machine learning, making color matching easier, making ducking easier, or little things that we do every day, just making those easier, being able to recognize what's in an image without having to manually add metadata. I think that's where I see artificial intelligence focusing in the future, although it's still got that very big hype about it's like, oh, it's going to take over the world. We're going to do everything with artificial intelligence. I noticed that even, the self-driving cars are being throttled back a little bit in their hype because of the cycle that you said. We've seen it happen. Artificial intelligence will be way overhyped this year. Next year, we'll probably come back to an appropriate place where we see the balance, where we know where it's going to have advantage and where we don't waste time on things that it's never going to do.
I like your phrase, self-driving cars will be throttled back. That was very clever, and I didn't want you to think I wasn't paying attention.
Thank you.
Well, let's take a look at artificial intelligence. Should we call it AI or should we call it machine learning, and does it make a difference?
It does definitely make a difference. I would lean towards calling it machine learning, but most people are not necessarily familiar with that term. There is a thing called generalized artificial intelligence, and that's the big, scary, will it replace humans when or if it ever arrives? We're not there. It's not happening at the moment. It's not something we need to worry about. Machine learning is what's driving these cognitive services, the ability to see what's in images with a computer, the ability to turn speech into text. All of these services, the ability to extract emotion. These are little services that we'll use every day, and these will drive the adoption of artificial intelligence in the production business.
Well, it sounds like what you're saying is that machine learning does not replace the human element, but it enhances what the human element is able to do. So it's like power tools.
Exactly. It's been my go-to phrase for a while. Steve Jobs talked about a computer as being the bicycle of the mind. Well, I infamously said that was the tricycle of the mind with artificial intelligence, but I meant motorcycle of the mind. But yes, with machine learning added onto the computer, then we do get sort of this motorcycle effect where the enhanced human is capable of more than any single human might be capable of alone. I think where it will make change is where people who are talented in the creative area but don't necessarily have technical skills. I think machine learning will help people like that, the so-called predator, perhaps to realize their creative vision in ways that they haven't been able to in the past.
Like the content-aware scaling or fill that Photoshop uses to fill in an image where there's no image before. It could be done manually, but it's harder to do if you don't understand how the tool works.
Yes, and they're even taking that even further now, is that they're able to pull in images, sections of images to replace the content that has to be filled with sympathetic components from other images to fill it in. It's just quite amazing, and this is why this has been actually what Adobe have been doing with artificial intelligence. Their Sensei range of services is really informing me of the future. I think this is lots of little ways that they're going to make our life easier.
You mentioned another thing that AI is going to impact, which is media asset management. Clearly, we're drowning in data. Files are bigger. There's more of them. I haven't met a director yet that insists on shooting less footage. So what's happening there?
The big advantage of asset management is getting all your assets in the one place. The biggest disadvantage of asset management is that you need to add metadata. You knew I'd get there eventually. You need to add metadata to those assets so that you know what's in those assets without having to manually scroll through it. Well, the advantage of machine learning is that the assets can be recognized by a machine sight, and the text or the text in the images can be recognized, and any speech in the images can be converted to text, and therefore making it searchable. So what it does is it takes the nasty side of asset management, entering of all the metadata, and does that for you automatically, making the asset management system actually useful.
I will confess that this is an overwhelming issue. I've got over 1 million assets on all the storage that I've got here, and I can't find anything. So I put it into an asset manager, and I still can't find anything because I still now have to go through and enter metadata on 1 million assets. This is depressing. So you're saying this can be automated?
even if you take 1 minute per asset or 30 seconds per asset, you probably don't have enough lifetime left. No offense. I wish you a long and happy life, but a million assets, that's 500,000 minutes. That's a long, long time. Yes. The machine can look into a video asset and say there are people in that, there are 3 people, it's in a bright sunny day. All of this can be recognized from within machine learning. If you've got a list of people and faces that you want to recognize, they will match those up and add that metadata. In fact, if you have a slow connection to the internet and you load Facebook, images will often load and you'll see text first that says sunny day with 2 people smiling. And that's already being done by Facebook on the images that you upload.
What other technology are you keeping an eye on? Anything in production or post we should expect more on?
Well, I'd like to see more of artificial intelligence applied to production. We're not really seeing as much of that as I'd like. I mean, yes, asset management, but that seems to be more focused long-term, not focused on the particular production and using speech to text, although increasingly people are getting transcriptions done because the accuracy of the machine's transcriptions has improved and the cost has come down, which makes for a perfect storm.
Well, your definition of improved and my definition of improved is probably 2 definitions. I don't think speech to text is good enough for final release, but it's definitely good for rough cuts. That's true.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There are 2 uses for speech to text. One is the closed captioning or captioning of the finished program, and machine learning is generally not there in speech to text yet, but in production it certainly has been. I've been for a book project, ironically, been running through a lot of interviews and sending them through Speechmatics. One 40-minute interview was 99.8% accurate. In 8,000 words, I had to correct 15 words. That's not the general experience. It's more like 97, 98% on the rest of these interviews. But that is largely due to audio quality, not to any change in the speech-to-text engine.
My experience is not the same. The Buzz interviews, for instance, are classic high-tech interviews, and I send those off for transcription. I'm correcting probably a third all the words that come back. So I'm glad that you're getting that kind of response. The more it gets into jargon and technology, the harder it is for machines to translate.
Except for the better services allow you to upload a training set of words that you expect to be encountered. So I could have uploaded a bunch of singing-specific words, and that would have given the speech-to-text engine a much better chance of recognizing the words accurately.
Cool. Well, thinking of cool new technology, what are you doing at IBC?
We will be showing Builder wherever we can. We're setting up meetings so that you can have an hour of our time. Greg and I will sit down, go through your workflow, see if any of our apps work for you and could make your life better. And you can sign up for that at Lumberjack System. Even if for intelligent assistants, just go to lumberjacksystem.com and follow the link from the homepage. We'd love to see you there. We'll be largely trying to show Builder to as many people as we can. And for those who don't remember, Builder is our next generation video editing application that edits the video and audio driven by text. So you have a transcript, it aligns the transcript with your video and audio, and from that point on, you edit the text like you would in a word processor, and at the same time, you're editing the audio and video in the background.
For people who want more information on Builder or any of the other software tools that you have, where can they go on the web? Lumberjacksystem,
singular.com or intelligentassistance.com.
That's Lumberjack System. It's all one word, lumberjacksystem.com or intelligentassistance.com. And Philip Hodgetts is the CEO of both companies. And Philip, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Stefan Karle founded DOP Choice in 2008 to create high-quality lighting tools and accessories. Based in Munich, his company has since invented snap bags and snap grids and butterfly grids and many other tools that are used to shape light. Hello, Stefan. Welcome back.
Hello. Thank you so much to be again here.
Before we start talking about what's new, give us a short description of DOP Choice itself.
DOP Choice was founded 10 years ago as a company to build better products for lighting, so basically for lighting accessories. We manufactured at the beginning the snap grids, so the grids that direct your soft light. And when we have also concentrated on light modifiers like softboxes or lanterns and so on. So all the things that you're using in front of your light with this made by us.
So you don't make lights, you make the stuff that fits in front of a light.
Correct. There are so many people manufacturing lights at the moment.
Well, when you started 10 years ago, tungsten was the dominant way of lighting anything on set. And over the last 10 years, LEDs have taken over most of the traditional tungsten tasks. What's the difference in how we control LED lights versus traditional tungsten?
The big advantage between LED and tungsten is kind of, and also if you compare it with the fluorescent and HMI light, is like that you can run it much more easily on batteries. So you're more flexible. If you have run, for example, HMIs on batteries or tungsten on batteries, they didn't last so long. So the LEDs are much more efficient in that. Secondly, there's also the point that you don't need all these big dimmer packs and also with transformers to transform the voltage and so on to this lighting system. So this helps a lot to make the whole thing more compact and more lightweight. And finally, it's also more easy to control it. So there's hardly no need for filter jails anymore, except of the diffusions. But mostly all the color can be generated directly by the LED light source itself, or the light engine, but it's mostly a multiple array of different colored LEDs. So with this big advantage for the people on set.
One of the challenges we had initially with LEDs was the fact that they did not represent the full spectrum of color. And over the last 5-10 years, LEDs have become a lot more color accurate. What new trends in lighting are you seeing today?
I think especially the color. As we have talked at the beginning, we had monocolor LED lights, like that you choose the tungsten or daylight unit when we came into the bicolor range. And now we are in the multicolor range. And even over there in this multicolor range, manufacturers are playing a lot with different kind of light engines. How many colors do they use to produce the full spectrum? For example, DMG went now with a six color LED engine that is very accurate in the color reproduction. And I think the next big topic is kind of the being connected to the LED lights. So how can you control it if your LED light is somewhere in the set? In the past, we have been using the dimmer packs for tungsten lights when we came on all this DMX system. But when you had to have the cables over there, but if you just want to place a light somewhere with a battery in your film set, for example, as a backlight, now you can use wireless systems. And there are a lot new ideas and also new consoles, for example, the gaffer's control, that is really great in controlling the whole unit now.
Thinking about new trends in lighting gets me to new products, and that's what IBC is all about. What's DOP Choice showing or planning to show that's new at IBC?
Our big topic is like size matters, and so we we started to make the 6x6 snapback for the RE360. Now we came up with a lantern 5 foot that works with our rabbit ear. Then we have also made a lantern for the Hudson Spider, that is kind of a very amazing product and getting very popular. And there are these new tube lights called Astera, that is really amazing light. We have built an adapter that you can put 8 of these tubes into our 4 foot snap box, and we have made a dedicated snapbacks also for this Astera lights, and also for some other manufacturers like for Exalux and Velvet Light. We have also produced some new amazing snapbacks and snap boxes and snap grids.
You've been making your softboxes bigger and bigger, 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet. Why the emphasis on the larger size? What do I get with a bigger box?
We call it the wrapping factor. That means like that the light wraps around the the face, for example, of an actor. So the bigger the light source is, the more you get this kind of reflector, and it's also the actor does not have to be so super precise in make a conversation, for example, with a partner. So the cameras are getting more flexible with all the Steadicams and Ronin and so on what you have. And on the other hand, also the light is getting more flexible, so that you have more possibilities to place your actors and the scene within the room, and with the large soft boxes and with the large surface lights, you can really handle this in a nice way, also in a very shallow way. For example, if you look back, the HMIs, you needed a huge butterfly frame, and you needed much more space behind the frame than you have now with all these panel lights and the big soft boxes that we are using now.
One of the advantages of those really big soft lights is the actor doesn't have to be as accurate hitting their marks.
Correct.
They can be off a little bit and still be lit.
Yes, correct.
It seems that most LED fixtures use a bank of LEDs to generate the intensity that we need, which makes a great softbox. But what happens if we need a point source? Can we even use LEDs for that?
Yes. For example, BBNS is bringing out a new light that has a super narrow beam. And I think this is exactly what is one of the next things in the LED light, to make very punchy light. And we all know this, for example, when you look on our cars, where we have also this kind of very punchy lights built in as a front light. And I think this will come more and more and more also in the film market. And also Cream Source was and is one manufacturer that is concentrating also on this kind of punch lights. I think we are getting there because the efficiency of the LED lights are getting better and better and better and better. And this helps a lot to produce this kind of lights. The problem is the heat, because you have to concentrate so many LEDs on a small area to get the heat away. This is kind of a challenging part for the manufacturers.
Well, it seems like we've been dealing with heat and lighting since lights were first invented.
Better to carry some gloves with you.
For people that want to visit your booth at IBC, what booth are you in?
Yeah, we are together with some other manufacturers at the LCA booth in the hall number 12, D39. So in the main hall for lighting and cameras for the film business.
And for people that want to learn more about DOP Choice on the web, where can they go?
So you can go on www.dopchoice.com or our partner website in America, therecplace.com.
That website again is DOP Choice, all one word, dopchoice.com. And Stefan Karle is the founder of DOP Choice. And Stefan, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Mike Palmer is the Chief Technology Officer of Masstech Innovations. Masstech provides software that media organizations can use to manage digital media content. As the CTO, Mike is responsible for defining and overseeing the company's technical strategies for developing new technologies. Hello, Mike. Welcome.
Thank you. How are you tonight?
I am talking to you. I am doing great. I provided a very brief description of Masstech in my introduction. How would you describe the company?
Well, Masstech can help you manage long and short-term storage of raw, work in progress, and finished content on just about any type or combination of storage, medium, or services. And unlike some other vendors, we think your metadata is just as important as your media, so we make sure they're tightly bound at the storage level using SMPTE standards.
Well, when you say you provide the ability to manage our media, that means you're doing it with hardware, right?
We're doing it with software. Masstech doesn't sell hardware. We work with just about every bit of standard hardware out there, as well as the main cloud services that you can work with for storage.
Well, if I'm buying a Masstech product, what am I getting?
You're getting a piece of software that will help you keep track of where your media is, what you've placed on into storage, and then also a piece of software that helps you monitor the continuity of that storage. I've heard horror stories, they abound about people who place content in cloud, name the cloud service because there's stories about all of them. But for some reason or another, what they thought was in the cloud was not there whenever they needed it. So you almost need somebody who's watching the service to make sure that the content is actually there, and also giving you the ability to place that content in multiple places, even on different services or technologies. So in case you do have a failure on one, you can then restore it and recover from the copy that you had in an alternate location.
Well, that last description sounds suspiciously like backups.
Well, it's more than just a backup because it's actually a fully diverse copy. And you can determine how many of these you want. And you can also determine if you want them at the same bit rate or if you want to save money and take a little bit more risk. Then because we have built-in transcode in our system, you can even knock that down to a lower bit rate if, for instance, you want to keep something for a longer period of time and pay less for the storage.
One of the things that I've learned, because talking about media asset management, though it causes many people's eyes to glaze over, is one of my favorite subjects. How does Masstech define asset management?
Well, asset management is the ability to index and track the content that you're placing on media in possibly multiple locations, and then give other applications as well as humans access to that either through user interfaces or APIs. Now, that's the best, most general definition I can give you for the asset management system, because a lot of it is in the eyes of the beholder, and often the price tag is very high and it tends to scare people off. We don't really define ourselves as a man. If pressed, we might describe ourselves as a mini-man. What we do is our ideal location is either in a large enterprise sitting below the MAM and then handling storage management for the MAM itself, so the MAM doesn't have to worry about, if you're using Amazon or Microsoft or LTO or ODA storage. It simply says write this stuff to storage, and then we handle all the details down at the bottom. Or at the opposite side of the spectrum, and this is the most interesting thing for me, is working with the small to medium-sized companies that don't have the same demand in terms of features that large, say, state broadcasters might have that are buying these very expensive MAMs. They have much more reasonable expectations and designs. They just want to keep track of their stuff. And at that level, you could describe us as a mini-MAM, because not only will we keep track of your stuff, but we'll also give you a user interface. So you can see proxies, you can do searches, you can interface with other devices. And if you want to go so far as to apply AI to do speech-to-text and object recognition, then it can be extended to even those levels as well. But it doesn't have the killer price tag as the MAM system that a state broadcaster might buy.
I'm familiar with lots of different management systems similar to what you describe. What would be, because many media companies are not studios or large enterprises, they are smaller work groups, what would be an entry-level price? A range is perfectly okay, but just sort of distinguish yourself from the competition.
Well, it depends on how much of the feature set that you're buying. If you want something at a very low feature set, just an HSM to put below another application, then you're probably talking at less than $20,000 or so. When you start putting a user interface on that, then you start going higher up into the higher price ranges. But our typical system that we sell, let's say for news, which is we do a lot of news for broadcasters in the U.S., that's typically $100,000 or less from that one. But you can get a fully functional system with online storage, so you don't have to buy the tape library or ODA or anything like that, for a very reasonable price, down closer in the lower double digits.
Well, this gives me a chance to make a transition to talk about what the new stuff is, which is always exciting. What are you introducing at IBC?
Well, at IBC, our customers are telling us they really want to focus on two things: hybrid workflows, and the ability. And this is another interesting thing. And I'll turn the tables on you. Whenever somebody talks about hybrid cloud, what do you think they're talking about?
What do I think hybrid cloud means? It means that I've got media stored locally and on the cloud.
Actually, the first definition of hybrid cloud is using two clouds of different services.
Really?
And so, yes. And so the second definition of hybrid cloud is using a combination of local and cloud storage. So we're looking at both of those because many people are looking at doing cloud storage, but there are certain things they want to do in the cloud that might work best in Amazon, and then there are certain other cloud services like Wasabi that have a very low storage fee and little or no egress that's being charged for it. So you can mix and match those things depending on what type of storage you use at what type of life cycle, what point in the life cycle of the media that you're talking about. And that's another thing we do is we also manage the life cycle. So we can move things between clouds and between local storage according to rules based upon not only the media, but the metadata in the media as well.
Well, there's been a lot of concern expressed about privacy and security of media which is stored up to the cloud, especially from the studios and enterprises. Are you seeing that resistance starting to break down?
I'm really seeing that resistance start to break down, and I have to say I was one of the skeptics to begin with. My background is in news, and one of the concerns that news people have is that raw material being kept outside of the newsroom where it might be subject to a court subpoena, where the station might stand firm and not give it up, then a storage vendor might. We haven't seen any compromise at that level, at a legal level, with somebody caving to a subpoena and turning over an encryption key that they couldn't have had at the storage vendor side. That seems to be secure in the news environment. I think that the cloud storage vendors, in terms of content, cinema content and video episodic content, seems to be pretty secure, but getting it to and from the cloud and the infrastructure before you move it to the cloud seems to be less secure. That's when my concern has shifted lately.
Well, before I let you go, I know that you've got new products coming from IBC, but what are you looking at for the future? What are your plans coming up?
Well, we're part of the SMPTE AXF group, and we are really excited about what AXF is bringing to our side of the industry, and that's the ability to literally weld the metadata and the content together into a single wrapper. And the reason that's important is because the larger the physical or logical distance between metadata and media, the more likely they are to get separated. And I think people have heard horror stories about PAM systems, production asset management systems, had a lot of content in them, but the database was lost. And once the database is lost, because that metadata related to the media is separate from the media itself, sometimes that content is completely lost, even though you have perfectly viable video in the storage system. What AXF does is it puts that metadata into the storage system. So if you lose your database, at worst cases, you just go and read everything from your storage, and you're able to repopulate it, and you haven't lost your content. So there are use cases in production, in distribution, and in long-term archive where it really makes a lot of sense to weld that metadata to the media at the storage level and just make it a lot more robust. And we're coming out with some products based on that. We're very excited about it.
I can understand why. I've had media myself which has had the metadata disappear, and months of work has disappeared. And I'm not a studio, but I can just imagine what that must have been like for a larger organization.
It happens on an all too frequent basis, and we're excited about this.
I should hope so. I want a postcard when you get that ready to release. For people that want more information, where can they go on the web?
They can go to masstech.com.
That's all one word, MASSTECH, masstech.com. And Mike Palmer is the Chief Technology Officer at Masstech Innovations. Mike, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a good evening. Bye-bye. I want to introduce you to a new website, Thiele.com. Thiele is an artist community and networking site for creative people to connect, be inspired, and showcase their creativity. Thiele.com features content from around the world with a global perspective on all things creative. Thiele is the place for creative folks to learn, collaborate, market, and sell their works. Thiele is a part of Thiele Arts, a worldwide community of artists, filmmakers, and storytellers. From photography to filmmaking, performing arts to fine arts, and everything in between. Thiele is filled with the resources you need to succeed. Visit Thiele.com and discover how their community can help you connect, learn, and succeed. That's Thiele.com. Piet Thiele is the product manager for the Cine division of Schneider. He's involved in the German lens maker Cine lenses, which include both the 18mm Xenon full-frame prime lenses and the new Xenon full-frame prime Cine tilt lenses. Hello, Piet. Welcome.
Hello, Larry.
Tell me what your role is at Schneider.
Yeah, I'm the product manager for the Cine line. So this is the worldwide portfolio for all lenses in the Cine division. So the Xenon full-frame prime lenses, Cine is now 3 lenses, and also the Cine tilt lenses. And as a product manager, I'm responsible for the idea getting into the company through the whole product life cycle till the end of a product, so discontinuing of a product. And so it's a very great job in the companies. I do a lot of stuff. So I create the idea from the demand from the market, create the specifications of a lens or of a new lens line, and make the product launch ready. So and be the interface between the several departments of the company: production, R&D, sales, marketing. Yeah, and I bring them all together to create a great product.
I want to talk about some of your great products in just a minute, but I'm a bit confused. What's the relationship between Schneider and Schneider Optics?
Schneider is the headquarters, so the mother company, located in Germany in the city called Bad Kreuznach, close to Frankfurt, so 50 kilometers from Frankfurt. Schneider Optics is a subsidiary in New York and Los Angeles. And Schneider Optics made the MPDV filters. And we are the main company. We do the lenses in Germany.
You began your career as a still photographer. Now you're helping to design new lenses. How has the craft of creating lenses changed over the years?
That's a good question. So I think in the last years when I started my career as a still photographer, or I have apprenticeship to become a photographer, it was a change to digital cameras. And because of the resolution change, so higher resolution from month to month, so the lenses must become better and better to create more pixels. And this was the challenge for every lens manufacturers out there to make high resolution lenses. But now in the cinematography, it's another demand right now in the market that many cinematographers looking for something more classic things from the old days. So resolution is not the final question right now to create a great storytelling. So, and this is the different also from still photography to motion picture, that in still photography, we are looking for more high resolution lenses. And in cinematography, the users there are looking for more emotion, to create emotion with different things, not only resolution.
What makes Schneider's approach to lenses different from other companies?
Not look only to the sharp image. So it's more than a sharp image to create a great storytelling. We are not looking only at the focus point. So we are also looking at the out of focus area. What happened in the bokeh? So behind and the background and in the foreground. You can create all that stuff, flares, ghosts, veiling glare. You can create this, and it's not what just happened when you make an optical design. I think other manufacturers only looks at the focal plane and looks, okay, there it's a sharp image and this is fine, but they never look what happened in the fore and the background. And this is different what we do there in these at our lens lines to create a special spirit in our lenses, how we call that.
I've watched the video of the new tilt lenses that you've created, and I'm still not sure what I'm supposed to be seeing. What does this tilt do?
It's changed the focal plane. Normally, your focal plane is parallel to the sensor plane. So you make focus, for example, on 2 meters, and then it's the sharp area of the image is on 2 meters. When you are wide open, when you put your aperture wide open, so no really a depth of field. So it's just on 2 meters. The mechanism of the Cine tilt lens, tilting the camera, so the sensor, it's tilting by amount of degrees, and so the focal plane is not parallel to the sensor plane anymore. And so your focus is through the pictures by a special degree what you adjust on the lens without closing the aperture.
In the past, we would focus on something in the foreground and the background would be out of focus. Now with the tilt, we can be focused within reason on something which is both in the foreground and something different which is in the background.
Totally right, without closing the aperture. You have areas on the left and on the right side which are out of focus, but in the middle of the picture, for example, 80 degrees angle, you have a focal plane through the whole picture from the foreground to the background. At former times, you can create this kind of that with a closed diopter, with a split diopter. It's not the same, but it's so that you know what I mean.
So it gives us more control over what's in focus inside the frame, especially in terms of depth, to give us a greater sense of depth.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, it's what we sometimes called in marketing is focus unleashed, but it's totally different. I think the main thing is that you can do it while you're shooting. When you come from the still photography side, everybody knows tilt and shift lenses. And some of filmmakers use tilt and shift lenses, or sometimes they're called swing lenses, in cinematography. The problem was if you tilt the lens, then normally the lens looks in a new direction because you tilt the lens. And when you do this while you're shooting, the audience is irritated by, hey, what's happened? So the focal plane changed and the framing changed? That's not natural. That's not fine. And what we did is that we make a mechanism on the lens, mount the lens, and the camera is free in the movement. So the mechanism tilts the lens, the sensor in the camera, it's tilting. And so the framing doesn't change while you're shooting. And this is different from all other tilt stuff you ever seen in cinematography. And this is the special thing about it.
That is very cool. And now I know what to look at as I watch the video. Which brings me to IBC. What new products are you bringing to IBC?
What our approach on the IBC is this year to be more focused on the user and on the storytelling, what a user really, or cinematographer, a DP really wants. And I think in the former years, we all in the branch talking about technology and MTF curves and all that stuff, high resolution, but we are really looking for the users who want to make something special out of the movies. And so we create new story about our lenses, a new approach to our focus group, our target group we want to get to try our lenses. And it's a kind of a new starting point for a new marketing campaign, if you wanted to say in that way.
For people that want to visit you at IBC, what booth are you in?
We are in Hall 12 at D50.
And for people that want to go on the web to learn more about the products that Schneider has available, what website should they visit?
Yeah, it's schneiderkreuznach.com.
That is all one word, SCHNEIDER, Schneider, Kreuznach, KREUZNACH, schneiderkreuznach.com. And Piet Thiele is the product manager for the Cine division for Schneider Kreuznach. Piet, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
You know, I was just thinking, like NAB in the spring, IBC in the fall is a chance to take stock of where we are as an industry and get a sense of where we're going in the immediate future. As I mentioned at the beginning, IBC opens a week from today, at which point we'll have a much better sense of where technology is taking us this fall. Also, as James mentioned in the news, by this time next week, Apple will have announced their new phones, new operating systems, and whatever else they're planning in their September 12th event. It will be an exciting week. In amongst all the announcements, though, I'm personally looking forward to the latest news on media asset management and storage technology. Recently, I discovered that I have more than 1 million assets stored on my servers. No wonder I can't find anything. Cool cameras, luminous lights, and expanded editors are all exciting to learn about, but if you can't find the clips you need when you need them, well, let's just say that's a level of frustration we are all familiar with. Here, Mike Parker's comments on their new asset management software are relevant, as will be forthcoming news from companies like Axel and Kino, Maln, and others. The debate between storing and accessing files in the cloud versus locally will continue. Still, as digital media expands into higher resolutions, greater colors, and more files, our ability to affordably store that media, then find it later, remains as important as ever. Just something I'm thinking about. I want to thank our guests this week, Philip Hodgetts with Lumberjack System, Stefan Karle with DOP Choice, Mike Palmer with Masstech, Piet Thiele with Schneider, and, as always, James DeRuvo with doddleNEWS. There's a lot of history in our industry, and it's all posted to our website at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Here you'll find thousands of interviews, all online and all available to you today. And remember to sign up for our free weekly show newsletter that comes out every Saturday. Talk with us on Twitter at DPBuzz and Facebook at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Our theme music is composed by Nathan Doogie Turner, with additional music provided by smartsound.com. Our producer is Debbie Price. My name is Larry Jordan, and thanks for listening to the Digital Production Buzz. The Digital Production Buzz is copyright 2018 by Thiele, LLC.